Hi everyone, I'm Fran Halsall, and as you know, I'm doing a series on mindset. So today joining me is Holly Moore. She's the CEO and founder of Make Events, and literally, if you're based in the North, they are the go-to agency. She's worked with everybody, from Kellogg's to Fred, from BT to ITV. There's nobody that Holly's not put on an amazing event for. And the reason I want to talk to Holly today is, as a female business leader, she works in an industry that's ever changing and it's full of high pressure. She has to perform perfection for people on a regular basis. Hi, Holly.
Hello.
How are you?
Good today, but you know, if you'd asked me 2 days ago, I might not have been. But
yeah, the ever-changing world that is at the moment. Yeah. To start with, Holly, can you just tell me and tell everybody a bit about your story, how Make Events came about and where you're at now?
Yeah, so founded Make Events in 2012, July 2012, so nearly 8 years ago. I'd never worked at an agency. I'd worked for 2 years in the retail industry as a management trainee. Realised that I loved the hospitality side of a shop, if you like. So I absolutely loved that. Creating an experience, as our strapline is now. Like, I love looking after people. I wanted to be the person that would pay a compliment to the manager about me. I wanted to be able to upsell extra items. I wanted to be able to sell the card with all the points that you're not go to now, and all that kind of thing. And I loved that whole creating the experience. So and then I had a boyfriend that his family owned a hotel in Tivoli, and so very, very young at 19, I kind of got introduced to the hospitality industry, and like, don't know who I think I thought I was, because we used to stay at this hotel like every weekend. We'd be having like, pepper, as was in at the time, like pepper steak, Chateaubriand, like, flipping Malbec at the, I know Malbec's not a thing now, but
absolutely finer things in life.
Oh yeah, amaretto, all that. So, and I absolutely loved, again, that whole like customer experience. I loved the reception. So I decided to leave retail. I thought I'll go and apply in a hotel as a receptionist. Couldn't get a job in a hotel because I didn't have the experience. So I got a job at the Titherington Club in Macclesfield on reception and stayed there for 9 years. I think which will make sense shortly, but basically, like, I think I lived my uni years there because I didn't go to uni. So I was there and I did like reception, then I was reception manager, then I was duty manager, then I got, so I just literally learned every single role. I guess it as you would if you were working in a small hotel, you'd get to experience everything. And then kind of at that point, the events industry was starting to come up because Posh and Bex had just got married, and I think Hello had just launched. So all these glamorous events were starting to go into the glossies, and it suddenly became this desirable career, and a degree popped up and all of that. So I just pecked at the the owner's head about if an events job came up, but there was only one, and one girl was in that job. So I said to him, look, could I set up a social committee because there's 150 staff and do all your events? And he was like, well, there's no job. I said, no, I'll do it my own time. So like, one piece of advice I always give people now, especially in a saturated industry, which is going to be even more so now, is, always be like, me, and like, what extra can you do? And I'm a massive believer in giving more than you should, really in mind that you'll get back, being completely honest, like, and I think that's showing you more. Yeah, I think so. And I mean, the events, that the interesting thing is, Sue, that was my receptionist there, I asked her to start the social committee with me. Then she did that in her own time, and she was the first person that gave a job here, and she's still here. So it's this kind of giving that I think is really important to stand out. So I did that, and then the events role came up, and I got the events role, and I was there did that role for 2.5 years, and I did literally everything. I mean, I did from like selling funerals to golf days to driving the bride and groom on the golf buggy down to the golf course, and the whole refurbishment of the suite. I always kind of ran everything like it was my own business. Most normal people would be saying, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not my job description. I just always did it because I loved it. And then I kind of got spotted. So I went to AstraZeneca then, the pharmaceutical company, and became head of events for employee engagement. So I didn't do what I would call a kind of like the boring, well, they're not boring to some people, but like the pharma events. I did all the employee engagement, and I became fascinated with events used to recruit, retain and motivate people. And I got really yeah, really fascinated with how events could deliver a message, a strategy, motivate. So that was a great job, and I was there 4 years. So that would take you up to like 2011. Now, in this time period, I developed OCD, really severe form of OCD. Like I always joke about this, it's definitely not to do with health, hygiene, or cleaning. I'm not hygienic, but I'm messy and everything like that. But OCDs are really like, and imagine in sports, it's quite prevalent as well. Yeah. It's a very misrepresented illness, and mine took the form of very, very dark, intrusive thoughts. And I had that for 5 years.
Is that because, do you think that was because you liked to be in control of things?
Yeah, and then do you know where I think it stems from a little bit is I do believe you genetically, what's the word? You know, you
it's inherited. Yeah.
And it just depends on your life circumstances with whether it's triggered, basically.
Okay.
So I think it stemmed from going to an all-girls school, it was a convent, so a lot of guilt. If you did something wrong, you confessed it. So I as a little girl, I can remember having like a huge conscience. Like if I'd had, like, mum had said, don't have chips for school dinners, and I did, I'd have to go home and confess it. That's how I was brought up at this school. And then my mum and dad were, I would say strict, but, you know, as you should, bring kids up. And I just think it manifested in that way. And then it was just triggered. And so I had it for 5 years, but I always use the analogy of when they talk about functioning alcoholic, and that you would never know there was anything wrong with me. So I would go to work, I would do my job, and then I would get home and crumble. And over those 5 years, I kind of went all different paths to try and find recovery. And then on like the last year, which would have been, I think, 2010, I was very, very lucky that I got introduced to a psychologist who will come to in a minute at the Priory. And he delivers a specialist treatment in the UK that's only available in Manchester, London, and it's a group therapy. So I did that for 3 months. It was a mix of mindfulness, CBT, exposure therapy, and group therapy, and it's pioneering. And it's an illness, OCD, that they say you will live with, and it will come and it'll ebb and flow. And I can, like, honestly, hand on heart, say that I've been 100% OCD free since 2011 with no drugs or anything.
Due to what you've learned in this process.
Yeah, because we were just catching up before, weren't we, on the fact I do believe you can rewire your brain. Now, the other thing is as well, what they will then warn you is that if you go through any traumatic life events, that could be a trigger. That's when it's going to come back, if it's going to come back. And I've been through several traumatic life events, including what's happening at the moment, when, you know, you're wondering if you're going to lose your business. And it's not come back. So I'm very, and also I never shared that story until 2 years ago, because I believe in sharing a story when you're comfortable with it and not just on a bandwagon. And I felt like I needed to have been free of it long enough to know it wasn't going to come back, if I was going to try and inspire people to say, look, there is life after, you know, mental health. So, sorry, that's like a big part of the story, but the reason I tell you that is because so I was a very loyal employee, one company, you know, 2 years, 9 years, 4 years. And then a few things happened in the job that I was in. I call it 2 meters.
Yeah, they come in.
So things that I ordinarily would have put up with at work, I just snapped one day and decided, you know, I kind of thought, look, I've been through this, and I've obviously had traces of this my whole life, and which has made me not step out my comfort zone and be a little bit anxious and not wanting to leave home and things like that. I still was living in Macclesfield at this point. I think I was 33. So so I just snapped. I didn't have a job to go to, and I just thought, you know what, I'm not on great money. I think I was, you know, early 20s I was earning, and so I can earn this doing a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that, and I'll be fine. And didn't really have necessarily the plans to set up my own business. I was just going to do bits and bobs of events and marketing, and did that for a year on my own. I think the first year I earned like 18k. But the beauty of that is that, you know, you've no golden handcuffs. So basically, like, if I can survive on 18k, I could probably have set my own business up. Actually, do you know what I mean? Whereas if I'd have been on like a really massive salary, it probably would have been a lot scarier to do that.
It's still scary going out and setting up your own business though. That's like an incredible thing to do. But do you think, did you set up your own business off the back of wanting to do your own thing, or was it like, or you knew the industry really well, you knew what you could do, you had your purpose of what you wanted to achieve then, so this is my time to do it?
No, it was, I always say it's like a bit of an accident, because in fact I was talking to somebody about this the other day when I've been struggling with what's going on, and I said, you know, when you go in these dark places, well, I never actually really wanted to have my own business. I just ended up being quite good at it, you know what I mean? So what actually happened was, when I went on the year on my own freelance, I met another girl who had a really glam like party event planning company, and I started working for her, and we were going to go into business together, and we fell out. And I'm not one, I've probably had big fallouts with a couple of people in my time, but I'm not that kind of a person. And we completely fell out. And what I would like to say actually is, I've always said the whole way along, another one of my like little pearls of wisdom is, I always said she had her story and I had mine, and you know, I'll believe my side as much as she would believe her side, and so no one's really right or wrong. Yeah. And what was really lovely in the last year, like 8 years later, she's reached out to me, and we've you know, become friends again, so that's really nice. So we were going to go into business together, and I just loved then the whole like girl, I guess at the time, you know, like girl boss, I've got my own business, and I, you know, these hotels invite me here, and you know, all that kind of thing. So I'd introduced a couple of clients to her, and who had confirmed, and we kind of made an agreement that I would take them with me. So that was because I remember sat with my dad when it all went, when we fell out, and I was sat with my dad. This is 2012, and he said, you know what, why don't you make yourself available for events, because you've never done it on your own before. Make yourself available, see what people do, and you know, and then try it and see what happens. Because the other alternative was to go and get like a corporate job, which I could have done. I think I'd had a little bit of taste for self-employment. Everyone says that, don't they?
Yeah. I also think, you know, when you kind of setting out on your own and you just fall into it, there's a certain naivety about it, isn't there? That it's like, you call it the toddler mentality. Like, you just think, what's the worst that could happen? And you just throw yourself in. And that's kind of when I went through crap periods of time in swimming, I went back to that. I need to be like, not once bitten, twice shy. I need to be that toddler who's not scared of like falling out of a tree. I need to be that person. And I think that's where you start at, isn't it? When you set up your own business, you start at, I've got all these ideas. This is going to be great. Let's go.
And always like, oh, I'll have loads more free time and I'll be able to do this. I'm like, oh my God, how did I ever think that?
Oh dear. Yeah, so Make Events happened.
Yeah. So that was
started it up.
Yeah, so I think they kind of, you know, I've always believed you've got to have, you know, a reason why people are going to use you, and not people that have been in existence for however many years. You know, what's your USP? And I know everybody says that, it's a bit fluffy, isn't it? But I really, really did take some time to think about that. And what I thought was, there was a bit of a reputation in the area that female business leaders, particularly in the event space, had to be like, you know, words that were thrown at me, tough, ball breakers, all this stuff. And I'm not like that, and didn't want to be like that. So part of me wanted to prove that I could do it and still be nice. That's been to my detriment very often, but that's me, you know. And then also I tended to be able to look at some events and know who the event planner was on it, because it had a certain style. So I wanted my events to look like they belonged to the client, as opposed they were a Make Events event. So they were kind of my two things, really.
I think that's really important. That's a really important point, that you had your why set up before you even started anything. And there could have been times where you deviated away from that, but that was no, like, I want to be the woman that I am and delivering what I want to deliver. That's like a really like prominent point that I think is massive at the moment. Have you heard of Simon Sinek and the power?
Yes.
So that's like 100% like on point with that, isn't it? Like, you had why you wanted to do it, who you were, and how you wanted it to be. And also you took your ego out of it in a way that it had to have your stamp on it, and made it about what events are about. The client, like mega.
Do you know what? It's funny you should mention about the Simon Sinek thing, because I think when I feel there's been times over the 8 years where I felt like I've lost my purpose within the business. Like, what am I doing it for? Don't know what, you know, being totally honest, like, what am I doing it for? Why? What's my why? What's my why? And I was probably at that pace like a little bit before lockdown, and lockdown has given me so much, not time necessarily, but you have to reflect. And I think at some point during lockdown, when I was struggling for motivation, the motivation was because the lack of motivation was because pre-COVID I had lost my purpose. So I don't know, like, if you'll have seen, but we just announced this week that we're going to recruit a managing director for Make Events, which is massive. We've never had one, but I kind of made the decision during this period that if I'm going to fight for this tooth and nail, and I'm in like one of the biggest hits industries, we're not predicting any revenue till 21. You know, we're at 5% written on the books that we were 3 months ago. Like, it's millions have dropped out. So I thought, if I'm going to fight for this, then totally selfishly, I have to be happy at the end of this. I can't go back to what I was doing. So if I'm going to keep 18 people's jobs, it has to work for me as well, else the fight's not there. So I totally agree with you. Like, I've really revisited in the whole of this, like, my why and my purpose. And I think that is so important.
Yeah, definitely. And do you know, going through all this and ups and downs that you've had in the past, which inevitably hit a business, what the team together, like, what's your leadership style? How do you go about keeping your team on board, keeping them all, because I know that you're very close to your team and you have a tight-knit group. So how do you keep them all on board with staying, like, motivated to come back once this is over?
Do you know what, Fran? I'd say the tail end of last year, I wasn't doing a good job as a leader because I was into so much and I was people managing, and that's not my strength. And I think that what happened, it's so weird how things happen, isn't it? But I think what happened with lockdown and COVID was, because I do like to be like, that's a weakness of mine. And I do, like, people say to me, oh, you don't need to be friends with your team. But events is a funny thing. And I guess it's like sport and tours and stuff as well. Like, we spend so much more time together than a normal job. And we go through these like massive experiences together, you know, like things that you would never dream you could do. And so you are naturally really close. And then I'm that kind of person anyway. So I think when we went into lockdown, what was really interesting was I had to make decisions around people, obviously, that I had, if I was making in real life, would have caused me sleepless nights. I'd be anxious, I'd be upset. But I had to make so many decisions and take the emotion right out of it, because I had to, you know, this brand has to survive. That actually, I think I've really stepped into my lane during lockdown, which sounds so weird when there's so many horrible things going on. I think if you'd probably taken a survey of my team in November as my leadership skills, it wouldn't have been amazing. But I would probably put my hand on heart and say they'd be pretty high now. And so in answer to your question, I think a learning curve for me is they've got more respect for me now that I've made difficult decisions and not worried about the emotions. So I need to hold on to that in the future. I've also, we've done like the soft stuff. So we did so the Friday of lockdown, we've had a virtual themed quiz every single Friday. And it's like elaborated into canapé making, wine tasting and all that. I've had my HR manager check in every 4 weeks with everybody so they can have an off the record chat. I've over communicated, so you know, every step of the way I'm communicating, always preparing for bad news. So you know, we will be looking at furlough in 3 weeks, just to let you know, we will be looking at XYZ. And then you know, little magic touches, sending them things in the post, which is one of our brand values. And you know, like the guys that are working, giving them extra days off because some of them are earning similar to the guys on furlough. I think that's probably all I can put it down to. And I actually think as well, sorry, I'm like waffling so much. You can tell that I'm solo isolating. As soon as I get to talk to somebody, I'm like waffling away. You know, I'm pretty creative, and so I am coming up with ideas as a team all the time, and then we're getting them out there, and so they don't feel like the world stopped. It's like actually creating more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. A really good point that you touched on then was, you know, your strengths and you know what aren't your strengths. And speaking to my husband, John, who's obviously a rugby player and a manufacturing CEO the other day, they both said in their leadership like style and their team, they understand what their strengths are and want to work to them and bring other people in around them that complement them, that are that that's their thing's something completely different to mine. I want to work with them so I can just concentrate on my strengths. Would you say that's pretty similar to where you go with what you're doing?
Yeah, and that's what I've not been doing, and that's why I've not been happy, and that's why the team haven't been happy. And what I will say now is what I want to do when we get this MD. And the reason I'm recruiting now is this is the only time I will have time to spend with this person properly. And to really, you know, otherwise it would have been, oh yeah, I'll look at CV now, and oh, I'll squeeze an interview here and that, whereas I've got time. And I just realised like how much I love being creative. Like I absolutely love the ideas, the vision, the creativity, and so I need, and the brand, getting it out there and doing stuff like this. And I need someone a lot more focused to me. And yeah, I definitely know what my strengths and weaknesses are, and I think I've kind of been in a bit so weird, like in a way, living in fear. Like we've always been really good with cash flow, so I've always had a pot of money there, not to be crass, but just to position it. Like, so I've talked about hiring before, and then we're like, oh no, just leave that money there, just leave that money there. So fear stopped me moving forward, but then the juxtaposition of that has been is that fear that has held me back has actually what saved us through this, because we can get through this. And now I'm like, so this is like the perfect time now. So it's kind of, I guess it's all happened for a reason, you know, that it's happened like this. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about when I swim and go to an event, obviously there's a mindset, there's a lot of prep, there's the lead up to it, there's the preparation that is really regimented, and I know exactly what I need to do to perform on the day. Yeah. And I feel like an event is a pretty similar process that you go through. So you've got all the time where the build up, the prepping, the putting things in place to then have to deliver on that one day. What happens when things go wrong? Like, how do you deal with it? How do you get everybody back in neutral and on the ball to keep going?
Yeah, that's hard actually. And it's got harder as we've got busier because and it goes back to my leadership style actually, because so we'll have had we had a particularly busy period in October, November last year, kind of from event to event to event to event, and we were getting some negative feedback off the clients in terms of pre-event communication, and then a few things on site. And I was so worried about the team in terms of, right, they've been working till like 4 a.m, then they're back on site at this time, then for another one, and I wasn't then feeding back the feedback in a timely manner because I didn't want to upset them before they went on site for another event. So I think there's a few things, isn't there? I think like the pre-event stuff for us, we sell that time before. So if it goes wrong, if something starts to go wrong at that point, you can normally pull it back because you can have a conversation with the client, you can see what their problems are, you can make sure you fix it. The biggest problems we might have, and you know, touch wood, we don't have it that often, but when something goes completely wrong on site and it's out of your control.
Yeah.
If you imagine, like you've got all these suppliers, and you know, you can have like 150 people that are working on an event. Well, these 150 people have all got a life outside of that, and you've got motorways and trains and all that. So we've had some really funny ones that like
what do you do in the situation though? Like,
do you know Vicky Pritchard? Because she goes to Barry's a lot. Do you know Vicky?
Yes. Yeah.
So Vicky will remember this. So Vicky first booked me back in the day, like it was 2012, and she hired Vernon Hay, who's actually now a friend of mine, but she'd hired him to host this quiz, and all she needed off us was this quiz set and a buzzer for the quiz. So I ring a team building company I've used for years. I'm like, I need a buzzer. Fine, send me this bright, big buzzer. Now I'm thinking I've ordered a buzzer. A buzzer is a noise. I expect a buzzer to buzz.
Yeah.
So the buzzer arrives. The buzzer does not buzz. It's a prop. It's like literally like. So Vicky, absolutely, like she never met me before. Told straight off me. I was terrified. She'll remember this. And then Vernon was like, so what's your plan B? I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And anyway, Tim, who still works for us now, genius, don't know where this came from. He was like, there's an app on the iPad. I don't think we even have apps on phone. I don't know, can't remember. There's an app on the iPad that's got buzzer sound. So I'll sit back of stage, and then as soon as I see Vernon go like that, I'll press the app. Oh my God, this went on for an hour and a half. I was like this every 5 minutes.
So problem solving and thinking on your feet, you just have to do, don't you? You have to adapt, you have to change, you've got to make the changes on the fly.
You do. And I remember once actually we'd booked a celebrity to do, it was for 40th birthday, and he was coming to perform. I won't say who it is. Got a call in the morning to say, oh, blah, blah, blah. We'd had him booked for 12 months, we paid up. He's got a sore on his head, or he's got a sore head, so he's not going to be able to perform tonight. I was like, you're absolutely joking me. I said, if you don't sort this out, I swear to God, we'll go on Twitter. Because I thought that's the only thing I could do to give them some kind of, you know. In the meantime, Gary Barlow had performed at this client's dad's party. So I thought, God, if I could just get a video message off Gary Barlow, you know, just trying to give something. Anyway, in the end, this celebrity did perform, because obviously it was obviously a kind of fake, you know, excuse, and I said I'd put it on Twitter. But then we got a video message from Gary, so that was really nice for the client. But if he hadn't performed, like, you know, there's some things you can't fix.
Yeah. What do you think? Have you ever had anything that you just couldn't fix that was completely out of your control? Because for me, I think I've told the story on different occasions, but I was at the Olympic Games, got on a bus going to my semi-final, and the bus took me to the athletics stadium and not to the swimming pool, which then meant that I wasn't going to make my Olympic semi-final because I was at the wrong stadium. So they had to change the whole of the programme for that evening for the Olympic swimming, so that there was me and another girl that was in my semi-final on that bus. And in that moment, all that I did was, right, if I go really emotional right now, thinking about, oh my God, my career's over, not being able to football, then that's not helping anyone. Being in the negative isn't helping anyone. I can't trick myself into believing that this is all positive, this is fine, this is great. So all I did was think about the logical things that I could do on that bus to keep me just in neutral mode. So I was like, right, I'll turn on a different book, I'll ring my sports psychologist and have a really just casual conversation with him. I won't try and get myself. I'll keep drinking my drink to make sure I'm hydrated. So all I did was think about the things that I could control. Is that what goes on at an event? You're basically just controlling what you can.
Yeah, I think the main problems we have aren't the event, and this is actually feedback we always get from the client. If we know the event will always be amazing, but sometimes the way we look at pre-event is sometimes not as good, because we're always so busy. And so we've been restructuring the organisation to kind of get over that. But I think on an event, the good thing with an event in a way is, if you say to your direct client, look, things can go wrong, but the guests don't know what they don't know. So if you've booked a speaker and you've not necessarily advertised it, but let's take that as an example, and they don't make it, they didn't know that they were supposed to come anyway. So it's more about having a plan B than it is, like you say, control the controllable kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we can control that pre-event process, and that's why I know we should take responsibility for that and improve that.
Would you say as part of that process, communication is massive? Yeah.
Yeah, and do you know what? This is another reason for us getting a managing director, because I think I communicate properly, and then but I'm so like all over the place that sometimes I think I've told them something and then they're like, no, that's not the way we heard it. So that's when I'm recruiting this role, is very much going to be the person that kind of takes what's going on in my head and puts it into a form of communication that the team will get and understand the why. Again, you know, the why is Holly suddenly taking this into this for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, communication's everything. I used to ask my coach constantly, why am I doing this? Why I need to do this? What's the reason behind doing this? And I think the more informed somebody that's spending a lot of money on an event is of the why things are happening and what could happen, that, as you said, the more likely on the day it's going to be absolutely fine.
Well, I guess for you, to motivate you to do like the hard things, you want to know why you're doing them, because then you're more motivated, I imagine.
Yeah, and then I know what the outcome is, and the reason that we're doing it is for the specific outcome that in turn is going to help me with my goals. Do you have specific goals for you and the business and where you want to take it and where you see it? Because for me, like when I was racing and when I was in training for 4 years up to a goal, I would visualize being at the pool of the Olympics and what that feels like. That's like. Do you do anything like that with your goals and whatnot?
Do you know what, I should do more visualization, and that's what I've struggled with in this time period. My head's quite foggy. Very good at writing goals, and I've always done that, and I always say it's like a tattoo on my brain. So if I said I'm going to do something, like I will do it, like I will have dashing at some point in my life. I just don't know if that's going to happen, but do you know what I mean? Like if I've set myself something in my mind, but at the moment I'm a bit fluffy around my goals because I don't know. So at the moment I can see the big picture and I can see what we need to do, but again, I'm not very good at I want the big stuff done, and then I need somebody else to do the steps, if that makes sense. So I am very goal orientated. I do write a lot of stuff down. I probably, it's interesting you said that. I probably visualise more when I was younger. I wonder whether my head's a bit at the moment too busy, but they always say that with athletes, don't they, that they constantly run that almost like a movie of the finish line and seeing the time. And what would you say then, if you were going to try and get somebody like me to do that? How would you say that I could start doing that? Because I think that would be really good for me, actually.
Well, if you know now what you want and what your goal is, I think, have you read The Secret?
Yes, I love it. I've not read it for ages though, you know.
But that's basically, you visualize the thinking and acting how you'd want to be then. So, and then I could visualize my swim to within like tenths of a second of the time that I'd want to go.
Really?
Yeah, so I could, like, somebody could say ready, go, and I could be visualizing that as starting, and I'd go through the swim. My swim was only 24 seconds long, so I visualized my swim to like 24:2, 23:8, and it would always be able to visualize it to that time. And like I think my fastest time was 23:96 that I ever swam, but I'm only one of, I think, 8 women in the world to swim under 24 seconds. But I do believe that being able to visualize it, you kind of then are more likely to experience it.
When would you do it? How often would you visualize it? Every day?
No, not every day. Like some days you forget, some days I'm motivated, or like just literally committing to the process of going to the pool and doing my session. But it was like every now and then I'd just sit down and go, right, I know I want to swim at the Olympics. I know that that it's going to be within this time that I need to swim to be able to get a medal. So therefore, sit down, visualize it. Okay, now I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and yeah, I hit that time, which is amazing, really.
And do you still do it now? Do you still visualize stuff now?
I've just started because through this whole process, I've started to understand a bit more what my skills were as a swimmer and how that can then go out. Wow. Yeah, go out into the world of business and what I want to do and who I want to be and recreate my goals. So I am now in the process during this time, because everybody's got a little bit of time, of my 5-year goals, 10-year goals. Who do I want to be? What does that look like? A little Pinterest board of all that I do.
Oh yeah, I was going to see if you did a visual, like say.
Yeah. So of all the people that inspire me, like the outfits that I can see myself in that time, and like what I want my house to look like, and like things that I truly believe are all just in there. So I can look back on that, reflect on that if I'm not feeling motivated, or if I'm like not fancying it, or if I get a bit lost, it's always there. And I really believe that. But you're quite big on your self-improvement, aren't you?
Yeah, I really am, but I do feel at the moment, like I keep saying to everyone, I started a visualization board that was like, was going to be like quite, and I did it really nice, had quarantine in neon, and I did about like a little bit of it, and then I stopped to do it because I've got quite stuck in this whole process. But I keep saying to everyone, because now everything seems to be coming back to normal, I'm like, I just need to take a minute and I don't know how to take that minute or that day just to reflect on like what's happened in the last 3 months. It's massive, you know. And also like, yeah, just to do that, to start to picture, like, because I think one of the things that I've realised coming out of this is like, I want more, I know everyone says it, but I do want more balance. And so, you know, some of the simpler things in life that I haven't had time to enjoy, like walking and baking, like in the last few years, I want to keep. So I think and I'm very visual, you see, so I'm thinking something. Are you going to do like coaching then, do you think, for businesses, and like do mentoring and things like that?
Yeah. Come in, do workshops on mindset.
Oh, we'll have to get you in and book you for something. So we always get people like that, you know. And I think you'd be really relatable as well to like my team for sure, you know, because you're relevant. And like I said to them all today who you were and what I was doing. Oh yeah, you know. So that I think you'd do really well at that.
I'm looking for, so my goal and plan is back end of the year, get a TED talk together, ready to deliver, and hopefully get in there at some point. Then like start putting together a book of everything that I've learned and that kind of jazz.
Oh, it'd be fascinating.
Speaking, resilience, motivation, that kind of jazz, all bundle it in there. But there's lots of stuff you can talk about. So it's finding what I truly believe is helpful, beneficial to everybody, and what I've learned and how that can be all packaged up to be relevant and help. So this is why this kind of thing is good, because I can understand from somebody who's owned their own business, who's been through the ups and downs, what's relevant for you and what's relevant for everybody that wants to be the best version of themselves, really. Is why.
Well, you see, for me, like off somebody like you, I feel like I could learn about, or like you were saying about routine, focus, that kind of thing, whereas I'm quite like scattergun is potentially a phrase that's been used, whereas I think I could really learn off someone like you to be more structured. You know, I think that would be really helpful for me, because you're probably the other way to me, so I'd probably learn quite a lot to be at the middle. And I do think like that sportsman's mindset is just so fascinating, like focusing on that end goal, and like, you know, everything is towards that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But it's the same for you and what you're doing. Like, you've got a goal for yourself, personal one, you've got a goal for the business, and it's working it. We always used to work the goals backwards, because it's a 4-year cycle for an Olympics. It's not like, it's not 6 weeks you're working towards your goal. It is it's a long time. For me, I was 12 years working towards getting as close as I could to an Olympic medal. So it was like, right, okay, you're always reassessing. There's always paths that you don't think you're going to go down. You always try different things that you wouldn't have expected to be trying that was in the specific plan. But there's always a plan within a plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, I think you'll do brilliant. I think you'll do brilliant. You will.
Thank you. Back to you though. Self-improvement. So you take time out to go and listen to speakers, to understand and to grow. Is that a conscious thing? And is it what type of thing are you interested in that way?
Do you know, it's so funny. I was never into education. I mean, I did what I needed to do, but I'd love to do my marketing as I am now, but I'm just no good at advising. So the first thing that I ever enjoyed randomly was my mum took me to the local library in Alderley Edge to a goal setting course when I was like 16. Actually, it just come back to what you've just said. And the one thing that I remember was you had to write, what is your perfect day like? Like, if when you're, you know, more grown up and all that, like, what would your perfect day like be in 10 years? And I just thought, oh my God, this is the nicest thing ever. Like, I'm literally making up like the best day in my head I could ever have. And I was just like, I loved it. So it kind of got me then into reading like Louise Hay and Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway and things like that, you know, when I was younger. And then I got into Tony Robbins. We actually sat, I don't think you'll see, we sat in Tony Robbins.
Oh wow, yes.
It says it on the door, on the other side of the door. It says the orange bit is the Tony Robbins boardroom, and this purple bit is the Oprah Winfrey boardroom. So normally, like, you can see Oprah.
Yeah, there she is.
So normally this will be 2 boardrooms, but obviously because of social distancing, we've opened it up into one. But yeah, so I read Awaken the Giant Within when I started to make events, and it was all a lot about visualization, everything. Anyway, I really got into that. Oprah, and so I started to watch a lot on YouTube. And then 2.5 years ago, I decided to go to Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. And then I started, amazing, went to like 2 years on the road. Then I did things like, I would go, because I love events, I would go to, you know, like Cosmopolitan magazine, they'd do a 2-day thing, and Women's Health would do a 4-day thing.
Yeah.
So I would get little snippets from all of them, and then I would go to these bigger things, and then I would listen to their podcasts and their workbook. Tony Robbins he was quite old fashioned. So when you first start listening to Tony Robbins, like I invested in like 2013 in his CDs and his workbook. It was like £250, which at the time felt like such a lot. But it was absolutely brilliant. I would listen, it was hours of content, and I'd listen, I'd do my work, and I could sit there all day and do it. Then I went to Tony Robbins, and weirdly, that was where I came up with all the idea from The Office. So I came up with this name of House of Make, and that's what it ended up being. And then I've been to Oprah Winfrey, saw her in LA in February. Do you know what? And I absolutely, like, I could do that all day long. And if I go to something like that, I'll book another day off. And then do all the work the next day. And weirdly, actually, so I don't know if you follow like Rachel Hollis. She's like a motivational speaker in America, but she used to be an event planner. And I was due to go, she was coming to London for the first time in August for a 3-day thing, and it got cancelled. So she pivoted really early on in this and did her conference virtually it was like April. Yeah. So, and we went as a team to watch 8 hours worth of content, and we went as a team because we were investigating this whole virtual events thing, and if we were going to pivot from live events to virtual events. And I was like, we can't do it unless we enjoy it. Like, we can't add any value unless we believe in it as a product.
Yeah.
So we went to this virtual event, which was motivational. It was called Rise X Live, and the theme was courage. Okay. It's a virtual conference, and we absolutely loved it, even though we weren't live at the event. So in a way, it was weird, because going to a personal development conference in COVID virtually sprang borders into the fact that we did feel comfortable to pivot the business. So it's helped on so many different fronts.
So do you think that the pivot in the business has been really challenging, but because you see it as a good thing and you've like found the why and the what's and the where and the how, that like, yes, that's the road we're going to go down. I'm happy to be flexible and flex the different styles of events.
Yeah. Well, firstly, let me just show you my t-shirt that we've had made. So we've all got these t-shirts at the moment.
On brand.
Yeah, always. Just an excuse for a new top. I haven't been too much shopping.
I need one of those. I need a pivot t-shirt.
They're cool, aren't they? I'll send you one. So at first I was like, pivot. So in my head at first I'm like, right, I've got reserves, I can run with no revenue for X amount of months. And then my non-exec was like, no, we have to start to create revenue. We can't just like not create revenue for. And so then we had to explore different ways. So that was the virtual events. We're doing some marketing on this the next few days, but then so we've got a content studio. So we've always provided content, graphic design and print for events, but now we're offering that as a standalone service, which I think will appeal more to the smaller businesses, because our bigger clients have got that all in-house. So we've got the virtual events, we've got content studio, and then one of our brand values is magic touches. So we've always been famous for our like gifting. So for example, like the gifting station at the office. So if you come for a meeting here, you get given a paper bag and it says, I visited the House of Make and all I got was. And then you go to a gifting station, you can pick stuff, but it's all cool stuff. So it's like rose gold metallic notebooks, like post-it notes that say get stuff, like just super cool stuff.
Talk me through the values and talk me through the whys behind them.
Okay, so I will actually say that this business, we live and breathe these values. So the first
thing that makes everybody like on board with the, okay, we've got these values, everybody's on board with it, so it's kind of like more team focused then.
Yeah, like everyone knows them. And yeah, so our strapline is create the ultimate experience live and virtually now, so just tag that on, because what that was always about is and this goes back to the work hard, be nice, is we need to create the best experience for our clients, our suppliers and our team. So it's all about creating the ultimate experience for everybody that we, you know, touch base with, if you like.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we do it all the time, but that's the aim. So that's the strap line, the mission. And then it was the position, as you've alluded to in the beginning, was to be the go-to agency for the North's household names. And the reason that we did that initially was a lot of agencies, even based in the North, were reaching out globally, and we were like, quite a nice market in the North, quite a lot of well-known brands in the North. So that was our initial positioning.
Northern powerhouse.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at all the bit, you know, you've got the Hut Group, you know, all these FMCG brands that are born and bred up here, which is, you know, fantastic. So we are going to slightly change that soon, because we are operating so much farther and wider. We don't want to put off companies across the country. And then our brand values are anything is possible. So that's a bit like the answer's yes, what's the question? Then be confident. Oh, and I've got 2 prongs. So the anything possible also is the story of the brand that eventually we want to be able to do our own motivational conferences that are about anything is possible, especially if we get through this. And then be confident, which is being confident enough to say to a client, look, I know that's what you want, but please listen to my experience. I think that this would work better this way. And then internally be confident is our training plan. Then you've got get stuff done, which is, I've just got this thing of like, never let the client chase you. It's like a police car behind you with like flashing lights if the client chases you. To get stuff done. And then magic touches. And that is literally about the pockets full of wow that pepper every event. So you could be on an event and you've got a, you know, this massive set and all this lighting and stuff like that, and it'll be that one thing on the table that you pick up and go, oh my God, that's amazing. And that's what makes it onto Instagram, and that costs £1, but this band costs 20 grand. So it's about, you design a big event or a small event, and then it's what it, you know, it should go pop, 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 like the whole event. So that then the magic, so then that is translated into the experience as a client you get with us. So we've always done gifting stuff to like build a loyalty to the brand. And so now we're offering that as a standalone. So we're literally about to pack 250 boxes for clients. So we would now say to a client, come to us if you want to like deliver a message, tell a story, thank, surprise, delight someone. We'll come up with almost like a bespoke box. It's hard to know how bespoke they'll be until you see them, and that could be delivered as a standalone gift, because haven't we all loved getting stuff in the post, even if it's like, you know, dishwasher tablets from Amazon. It's like, oh my God, like something's happened in my life today. And then, or if you did book a virtual event, you get sent something tangible, because we've taken away so much of the senses with this virtual experience. We need to add that back in. And it might be that this box is open before the event, or it might be that, you know, you and me are doing this webinar and it's 2:10, and everyone that's watching it's got a box that they open at 2:15 with us. And so you all do something together. So yeah.
So you've kept the brand values on point, even now when you're having to pivot, you're having to diverge off, but they're core values and live and breathe them, and they're still going strong even when it's a tough, challenging time.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, what we've said is it's a change in strategy, but not a change in mission. And also, I think that's why I feel like we've been slow to pivot, because for me, I couldn't just do something that was a plaster for 3 months. This needed to be a complete, like, Make Events version 2, because we're in a new world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said that you're not a routine person, but you've also said that your head's cluttered, a lot of noise going on a lot of the time. What do you do to like turn the noise down, to relax, to have Holly minute or hour?
Yeah, so I call it spaghetti head. That's what I call it. You know, like alphabet spaghetti. That's what my head's like. We've designed a piece of artwork for that, because I said this in a talk the other week, and honestly, so many people was like, "Oh my God, that's it, spaghetti head." I'll send you that as well. I've done this really cool piece of artwork. Anyway, so what do? So exercise, probably the same as you. So I would say in lockdown, that's the one thing that's been constant. But I'm a massive believer in knowing, going back to weaknesses, like what are your strategies? So for me to train, I have to be with someone. So I've done FaceTime PT, booked on Barry's online, as we were saying. So I know what I need to do. But the good thing with exercise for me is, even if I don't want to do it, I think about, like you're saying, the end goal. I know if I don't do it, how crap I feel all that day. So that would be the one thing that I would say has been my, my thing.
It's funny because I feel like no matter how busy people are, they know that they need to get their time in, be that exercise like Barry's, be that walking the dog, be that out on their paddle board. You need that hour of you time that's kind of let everything go. No, don't have to do anything. And it seems to be exercise is the thing that all on the go, under pressure, successful business people, they fit that in, they do it. It's like a non-negotiable for them, no matter what else is going on. Their routine is the exercise, really, and that's their prepping their head for the day or after the day.
That's exactly it. That is the one thing, and it's weird how that's been the one thing through this. But then, other than that, I'm really bad, because I'll really only, the time that I'll switch off will be if it's an occasion. So it's a birthday, it's this weekend it's Father's Day, I'll drive and see my dad. I think also, because I know it sounds awful, but I'm single, so at the moment I'm just kind of like taking the advantage of the fact that, you know, there's going to be a time that I don't want to be doing this all the time, so I need to take advantage of it, because then it can propel the business for a time that I do want to pull back a bit. And I think so in lockdown, it's been hard, because at first I thought, I'm going to learn to play the guitar and speak French, and, you know, cook those 25 cookbooks I've had, you know, and I haven't done any of that, because I've just been like, I need to save the business. But the two things that I've done actually that I've always wanted to do, and I've done, so started baking, and I really love it. And
what do you love about it? What's the thing about baking? Like, I'm not a baker. I'm like, literally, I'm not precise enough to be a good baker. I've just got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, flourish on top. Whereas baking's quite like a methodological like process that surprises me that you're into that.
Well, put it this way, I've not done the baking where it requires something to rise. So it's been more about like the rocky roads, the tiffins, the brownies, the cookies, you know. And then what I do is like, we do this thing at work called, so sad, offerings. So like, if you're going to give someone food or a gift, you go, I brought you an offering. So it's just been this like stupid thing we've had at work. So I'll say to people, what's your favourite chocolate bar? So Sue that works for me the other day, I was like, Sue, what's your favourite chocolate bar? She was like, double decker and a boost. Like, right, I'm going to make a brownies and cookies with double decker in. So they're actually quite simple, but then you just add in like a little twist. And I love doing that and dropping them off. So that's been really nice. And then the other thing I've got into, which I wanted to get into for absolutely years and never have, is Pilates and yoga. So I've been doing like the Zoom classes. Did you know say like about chilling out? Because my day, it's kind of like from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed, especially when we were working from home all the time. I've got like Pilates at like 6 or 7 and like light a candle, and it was just like, so I'm giving myself
you for the hour.
Yeah, and it's great stretching and everything, isn't it? Because I'm so tight, like, so
because too many HIIT sessions just keep your cortisol levels high.
And
do you know what? That's probably why in this time you've kind of found your style, you've found what you want and who you are. It's because you've used it to decompress, so you've not got as much cortisol. There isn't any events going on, so that you're not on cortisol as well. So you've just had this time to get back in balance with you. It's funny, isn't it?
And you're not.
Go on.
No, you're not as well, because we're not like, although I miss going here and there, like you're not doing like driving and parking and traffic and da-da-da and da-da. And then very often, like talking about the spaghetti head, when I've gone for a walk at night, I've actually not even taken my headphones. I've just gone, I'm just going to walk and see what pops in my head. I mean, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't do that normally, because I'd be like, I better listen to, you know, bloody Holly Tucker. And like, you know, I'd be listening to something or whatever.
So you've actually given yourself time to just unwind, really.
Yeah, I think so, a little bit more than normal. Yeah.
Will you take that with you?
Oh yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like I can't go back to how I was, because it's not. It sounds awful. Like I love make events, I love my businesses, I love my team, but the way that I was working was not making me happy. So there's no way I could get through this if I thought it was just going to roll back to how it was. So yeah, definitely. I don't think we'll all adopt all the habits we think we will, post this. But I don't think you could go through something like this and not change to some degree. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you assess? Do you, after an event or after something, do you personally go, okay, that went well, that didn't? Oh yeah, props to me for that. That was really good. Do you go through that process?
Yeah, we do that as a business. So on an event, we will visit a client face to face, because you can always tell, get the feedback, and then we dissect it as a team.
How do you go about getting feedback personally? Because obviously you're head of the business. It's not easy then, is it, to like go to others? How did I perform in that? Is it the clients that you take the most feedback on things from?
Yeah, so I'm not directly involved in that many events now. So my feedback would be from the team, I guess. There's a couple of them that aren't afraid to tell me what they think, you know what I mean? Like I do have good relationships with them.
Yeah.
But we did get a HR manager last year for that very, very reason, that they could have the off the record conversations. And that's quite painful sometimes. It is hard to hear sometimes the feedback. And I've got to kind of realise that I'm never going to be, as much as I think I'm nice, looking after everyone and stuff like that, I am going to annoy people. And I've kind of got used to that now, that it's not necessarily personal. I think that's
direction of the business and what you want to do. Like, who do you go to? Who do you bounce ideas off?
So I have had a business coach. Yeah, I have had a business coach at certain points. But I use Sedulo, who are our accountants. They do quite a lot in the sporting world, actually. Their owner Paul is our non-exec. So he's like a little bit younger than me, but he's got this massive business. Like I think he started with 130 people, so he's like ahead of me. So he's kind of the person I would probably talk to the most at the moment. Yeah. Do you know what I'm actually looking for? I might as well put it out there. I really want to find like a female mentor that's older than me, that has probably built a business, because I think that's not to be sexist, because I've got male mentors and influencers, but I really think it was Paul actually that suggested, said you kind of want something, because I think at the moment, like, age isn't a number. So I think, like, I'm 43, and I think I don't want people, like girls in their 20s at the moment, and that think they have to take all the steps in events now. And I'm like, no, because you learn so much, like, on the job,
role, isn't it? Yeah.
So I feel like I could do with somebody that's kind of almost made it in their 40s, and now they're in their 50s, that can inspire me for that next stage. And I am so inspired because I saw J-Lo. I mean, obviously, J-Lo's an exception, but she was interviewed by Oprah in LA, and she is like, I mean, she's insane, but it's not just the way she looks, it's her whole mentality. She's like, I'm not done. This is half time. And like, I think there's a lot of women in that 40 to 50 bracket that are, Davina, like, they are so inspirational. And I think that is going to be a thing in the future. So I'd like to probably meet somebody to help me on that next journey.
For me, I love following you on Instagram, because you're a successful businesswoman, always like doing something that's going to be like, it's inspiring, and I really enjoy that. I don't follow anybody that's been on Love Island and is an influencer. That's just not what I do. It's like, I don't find that inspires me or interests me at all, because that, it just doesn't. So for me, like artists or business women or sports people, who I look to be influenced by and be inspired by, like and restaurants and like creating amazing food. That's like my thing. Are you the same way? Because I feel like now younger generations, especially girls, feel a lot of pressure, because work ethic for me is a massive thing, because they say there's a lot about this generation that they haven't got the same work ethic, but when you've got influenced by people that just go on a reality TV show and then they're famous and have loads of money and you're seeing them every day and what they're doing. That's your inspiration. Do you think that that's kind of the mentality of people now? And compared to when you grew up, when I grew up, because I was out of it because I was just in sport mode, I didn't have any of those influences. So for me, my mindset and who I'm inspired by and want to be like are inspirational business women, are people that are doing amazing things and are really talented. Are you the same as that?
Yeah, I don't know any of these. I don't watch any of these celebrity things really. You know, not like Love Island or anything like that. So I follow, business and a lot of creative businesses. So, you know, Holly Tucker, who's not on the high street. Nikki Kay, who does all the stationery. I've just literally met my idol event planner who's in LA. We just did a Zoom together because it's the only time she's ever had time. So I follow people in like the creative industry, events industry, food, drinks. That's my thing. Fashion-ish, wellness-ish, as long as it's not, you know, I was following some at one point. You're like, oh my God, I'm never going to have abs like that ever in my life. So what am I looking at them for? Because, and that's no disrespect. If I had them, it would be wearing a crop top, but I don't. So I'm not. You know what I mean? So I think you have to filter it a little bit, don't you? I think on social and I think in life, my motto has always been, if somebody is making me sadder than they're making me happy, then they're not for me. Do you know what I mean? And I think I just apply that to everything in life.
And as you were saying earlier, I suppose as well, like what you look at, what you see is what you believe that you can achieve. And I just think there needs to be a real change, especially for young girls, in who their role models are, who they're inspired by. And it needs to be championed more. And like, I just feel like for me, when I went into opening my coffee shop and people coming in who work there and stuff like that of a younger generation, I was like, I don't understand. Like, you've been stood on your feet now for 4 hours, but like, why are you complaining? Like, there's so much activity, complaining, and like, that's just not in my psyche at all. And I want to kind of get to the bottom of where it's coming from and why there's not like a absolute flock of young women now wanting to be business leaders, wanting to be like curating for the National Gallery and that kind of stuff. And it's all like, be a reality TV star is the quick fix.
I think they do want their own business, but it goes back to that thing about the why, doesn't it? Like, I'll have a lot of girls, well, I want to have my own agency in a few years. But why do you? Is it because you love organising events? Because if you want an agency like I've got an agency, you'll probably not end up organising events. So, like, my passion now is growing brands. So I think they think that, oh yeah, I want my own business because, you know, there's all these influencers and stuff on social and whatever, and that's brilliant. And there's people that have really made it doing that. But I don't think like wanting your own business for the sake of having your own business because you think it's good or whatever. I do agree with you, and I think, you know, just going back to what I said, my massive passion is to do this Anything is Possible conference motivational style thing at some point. But I want it to feature success in 20s, success in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, success as a mum, success not as a mum, success it just across every levels, and you know, because I think
it's not instant, is it? Like, for you, you've done 9 years doing one job, you've done 4 years doing another, 2 years doing another, and like, that's a long period of working hard, learning your craft to get to where you've got to. It's not like you was out of school and then started your own company and then it was amazing. There's a work ethic involved, isn't there? And I think that work ethic's like really important to be able to be successful.
And I've not been given a penny, Fran. I've not got an overdraft. I've not got a credit card for the business. I've never borrowed anything. I'm hoping we don't have to borrow anything during this period, but that might be a succession I have to make. You know, I haven't been given a penny. Like, my mum and dad haven't given me anything, not in a bad way. They've just taught me to do it myself. So, you know, and that's where you like build your self-esteem, because you have done it. Like, you can only owe you've had the best coaches and, you know, all that side of things. But if you weren't committed up there, you were never going to get there. Do you know what I mean?
So off the back of that, the last thing I want to talk to you about is transferable skills, and like what between any industry, and for me specifically as well, like I came out of swimming and didn't think I had any skills to get into business in any way. But there's so many transferable skills that I actually think the soft skills are as important, if not more important, to becoming successful in a business environment. So for you to get to where you've got to, and other people in other industries, what would you say is the ultimate transferable skill that if you use, you'll be set, you'll be on a good path?
I think what you've just said, it's work ethic, because I think I always think the reason I got into events is I love talking to people, I love food, I love drink, and I love creating an experience, and that just is where it's led me. Now as I've grown up, I love wellness, fitness, blah, blah. So I know that if this had all gone wrong, like I would have done something in that space, and I would have done well at it because I work hard and because I'm a perfectionist. And, I just don't think anything, and I'm sure you'll agree, I just don't think anything can replace that. Because if you're work shy, is what I always say to anyone that has an induction here, I put up with anything. I hate work shy, like lazy people, fibbers, and that's basically it. Them are two like pet hates. And so I think if you're open, honest, as far as you can be, and you can work hard, then you're employable. You've got capacity to be able to do your own thing. But I always say to people, think about what you love. So a lot of girls at the moment that the agencies are maybe not going to make what we're going through. I'm like, right, so think about the brands you absolutely love. Do they have an event manager role? Could you go and work that side for them? I think in life, think about what you love, because, it is, I know it's a cliche, but we are at work so much, aren't we? Like, why would you do something that you don't enjoy?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, no, you've got to do what you enjoy, you've got to do what you love, and ultimately no amount of talent like compensates for hard work, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for that, Holly. It's been great chatting to you.
You too.